Arrays are great because an array is essentially a data structure. In other words, it's a way for you to store your data, but unlike a variable that stores only one unit of information, an array can store several values, several units of information inside one structure. And by doing so, it makes it easier to access them. You're also well, but when you store data into an array, you're also availing yourself of methods that can be used to manipulate the contents of your array. For instance, W3 Schools, for example, has a list of those properties and methods available to you if you are using an array in your script. So whenever you have an array, you can use any of these methods uh, based on or given what you want to do. Um, for example, if you want to sort, let's say if you have a series of words or series of names of people and you want to sort them, um, yeah, you can use the sort method. Okay? So there's a lot of methods available to you at your disposal if you have your data in an array. Um, so how do we create an array? How do we put things in it? And how do we access them? So I'm going to make my own example here. I mean, as much as these examples are great, so I'm going to make my own. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you. So I have something already built here, basically the HTML code. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. This is still unsaved. I'm going to call it example 4, example04.html. And I'm going to go ahead and proceed in creating the array. So for example, um, we're going to put here cars. So to create a variable is to type var cars, or as you will see later on, you can type let cars. You can also type something along the lines of this, where you have two square brackets. That effectively creates an empty array. You might see also some scripts, oops, doing it that way. Okay, now this is also another way, maybe not an older way, but another way of creating an array. Some developers, some people find this a little bit confusing in more complex scripts, but nevertheless, those are your options. So you can use square brackets like so, or you can type equals new array. Okay, this will make sense to you, especially if you have done programming before. You especially like using object-oriented languages like C++ or C Sharp or Java. This you might find the syntax pretty familiar. But nevertheless, I'm gonna go ahead and oops, delete that. I'm gonna go ahead and type it that way. Now, what I could do here is to put this effectively creates an empty array. Okay, so to start putting stuff in there, one of the many ways to do that is I can put here cars, Toyota, oops, cars square bracket 0. Okay. Now bear in mind when it comes to strings and arrays, always the first box, if you will, inside an array is numbered 0. Strings and arrays in JavaScript, as we would say in programming, they are zero based. In other words, the first sort of room inside the floor, which is like your array. So if you think of the floor in a hotel as an array, and you have the rooms as the cells or the boxes inside your array, the first room is numbered 0, not numbered 1. Okay, so cars 0 equals Toyota. So that puts the string Toyota inside cell number 0 or box number 0 of the cars array. Now remember, we're using square brackets here, not curly braces, not parentheses, to access the cell of the array. I can go on. Cars 1 equals Honda. Cars 2 equals, let's say, BMW. And I can keep going on and put here, let's say, Mercedes-Benz. And just one more for, now I can put, oops, I could put here a Chevrolet. Okay. Yep. All right. So So effectively, I have 5 items inside my array, although because we start with 0, the index, okay, that's the number. The cell number is referred to as the index. So the index of the last cell is number 4. It's always 1 minus the total number of items. So if I were to show this or write this on the page, if I were to do that, well, let's find out what's going to happen. So let's play around with this. I'm going to go and save that. And oops, I'm going to use live preview. Again, not that that matters, but I just want to use live preview. So there you go. So using that document.write and putting the name of the array there pretty much shows the contents of the array, and we automatically get the comma after each value except the last one. Okay, so and we can keep going, but let me put some other things here. For example, yeah, let me just put this on the side. So for example, I'm gonna put here document.write cars, and whenever you have an array, you can find out the index of the last the 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 index of the last item using dot length. Yeah, it's actually more like the the index of the last item plus 1. Okay, now in many references, even when you saw earlier, brackets even said it itself. Dot length, oops, sorry, dot length gives you the number of elements. That's not entirely true, as you would see also even in javascript.info, because cars.length, okay, well, the dot length actually gives you what's the highest index number and then plus 1. Okay, so in this case, the highest index number is 4, so plus 1 will be 5, which, if you think about it, yeah, we do have 5 elements, but sometimes you can create an empty array and then all of a sudden put here cars 5,000 and put Chevrolet, but that doesn't mean that you have 5,000 cars. You just have one car in the array, and the other boxes, the other cells of the array, 4,999 of them, are empty. So in this case, it's actually more like the index of the last cell plus 1. So this should display 5. So I can put a comment here, shows 5. All right, let's find out. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now, I still have my browser open, so I just put it on the side. I'm going to go and refresh this. Okay, so there you go. There's the number 5. Not the prettiest place to put it, but yeah. So we got the number 5. What I can do, actually, is I can put here br, oops, br plus cars length. So in that way, the length shows up in another line. Go save that. Now, because my live preview is still running, I can just go back. Okay, do that again. There you go. All right, so let me refresh that. So there you go. There's 5. Okay, that's the index of the last item, last cell, or the highest index of that array plus 1. Okay, so I guess you can, for now, just if you don't want to confuse yourself, you can think of it as the number of items in an array or the number of cells in the array. Okay, but technically that is just the index of the highest index of that array plus 1. Okay, so we can also, just to play around with this some more, I can put here document.write, and this time I'm going to put a br, and I want to put here cars.sort. Okay, so let's find out, because according to W3 Schools, okay, according to W3 Schools, sort will sort the elements of an array. All right, so let's find out if W3 Schools is telling the truth. All right, so this list of cars, or I should say car makers. All right, so anyway, a list of cars should be sorted. We're supposed to see BMW listed first, being that it begins with a B. That should be followed by Chevrolet, begins with a C, and so on. So let's save, and oops, once again, I think I closed it. All right, so it's okay. We'll click live preview again. Okay, so this is the first attempt to show the contents of the array. Then we see five elements, and there we have the result of sorting the array. So without doing a lot of work to sort the contents of the array, all we had to do was use the sort method. So that's how methods are. That's how methods can make your life a lot easier. So if there's a method that can help you do your job, by all means, go ahead and use it. Like for example, there's a way to split the array here. There's also a way to convert the contents of an array into one giant string. Um, yeah, so there's also a way to find an element within an array, and it should give you the index of that array once it finds it, or let's say index of. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you can do with an object as long as you know which method to use to do the job. But yep, there you go. So that's how arrays are used, at least on a basic level.